If you don't want, here it is. If you don't want to appear in the video, just put your camera off. Please keep your microphone on mute during the duration of the webinar. Obviously, if you are not taking part in the discussion. Just a brief introduction. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see it? Just as I was saying, a brief introduction to understand the framework of this webinar. This is the fifth and last meeting. Wait a second. Of the cycle of 5 webinars realized under the umbrella of the Be Inclusive project, Tools for Equality and Inclusion in Youth Work. It's an international project co-financed by the program Erasmus Plus of the European Union. It is a project which will last 2 years, and it's managed by a consortium formed by 5 partners coming from 5 different countries. The coordinator is Global Citizen Academy from Could you please, Guy, keep your microphone on mute? As I was saying, the coordinator of the action is Global Citizen Academy from Lithuania. Then we have Pro-European Network from Bulgaria, Casaya from Spain, and TDM 2000 from Italy, which is the organization that I'm representing right now. My name is Davide Cadetu, and I'm part of the staff of TDM 2000 and also part of the consortium implementing this project. As it is easily understandable, reading the title already of the project, we are talking about inclusion. The project aims at increasing the diversity, equality, and inclusion of the youngsters of the partners involved in the project. To do that, there are several outputs foreseen by the project. There is a self-assessment tool for address to the managers and youth workers running youth NGO, not only in the involved countries, but in Europe and other countries also. This self-assessment aim is to understand the level of inclusiveness of the activities implemented by the organizations, and it's also giving some inputs in order to improve them and to make them more effective in terms of inclusion and involvement of youngsters. Then there will be a guide developed. This guide will contain several best practices and also tools, suggestions, and inputs in order to implement activities at local, international level in order to make more effective the inclusion of the most disadvantaged youngsters in the community. As I was saying, this is the last webinar of a cycle of five meetings that we have already implemented 4 of them. The first one was run by the coordinator of this action, Global Citizen Academy, and was providing input trying to describe what is an inclusive youth organization and how the organization can implement activities in order to make more effective the inclusion of the organization itself. The second one was implemented by Shanza Poland and was trying to understand what are the activities that an organization could put in practice during this very challenging time characterized by the COVID-19 pandemic. The third one was implemented by our Bulgarian partner and was about providing input in how a youth organization could engage Roma community and other minority groups in youth activities. The fourth one was about inclusive youth space and digitalization. And this is our last webinar, which will be about partnerships and networking, and trying to understand how the connection between the different actors in the local, but not only local, also international level, how this connection could facilitate the work of a youth organization and also have a positive impact in terms of inclusion and commitment of the youngsters of the community. Let's have a look at the structure of this webinar. First of all, I would like to understand which is the geographical scope of this webinar, where the participants are coming from and where they are working and living. Then we are gonna see also what kind of background they have, if they are representative of NGO or youth organization, youngsters or other stakeholders. We are gonna see what are the benefits of partnership and networking in youth work. And we would like also to present some best practice we have here in Italy, since DM 2000 as its core element, the cooperation and the creation of synergies and strategies shared with the actors of the community, which are committed to facilitate the participation of youngsters. We are gonna see also how these connections and partnerships and networking could facilitate the issue of regional law in terms of more inclusive youth policies. Meanwhile, we will try to give you some practical inputs and to share our experiences. Here with me, I have my colleagues. Some of them have been working in the field for more than 20 years. So if you would like to take the chance also to give some questions to them and to take advantage from their experience, it will be highly suggested. Okay. Now let's start understanding who is participating in the meeting. We can maybe use the chat just to understand which countries are involved. You can write there the country where you live, and then we can have an overview of what is the geographical scope, let's say. We have Greece, Poland, Italy, of course, is involved. Russia, Kenya, Romania, Spain. C'è un sondaggio, lo potresti lanciare? Che è la parte sondaggi, e che qua io ce l'ho così aperta. Then we are gonna launch a poll to understand also what is the background of the participants. I would like to know if we have here educators, youth workers, or other stakeholders involved. No, aspettiamo. Hai già effettuato l'accesso da un altro dispositivo, la sessione di sondaggio non è attiva. Well, it seems that the poll is not working. So maybe we can keep using the chat. You can write there if you are an educator, if you are a youth worker, or a young person, or other stakeholder. Young person. Okay, it was working. Someone is saying that they have voted already, but I cannot see it. Youth worker educator. So we have mainly youth workers with us. And educators. This is relevant because mostly the suggestions we're going to give will concern how to develop local partnership and networking for the people running an NGO or a youth organization dealing with the most disadvantaged youngsters in the community. So let's move to the next one. Let's have a look of what are the benefits. I would like to understand altogether what are the main benefits of partnership and networking in youth work, the benefits for the youth organizations. Some of the input I will say could sound maybe obvious for the most experienced organization, but we'll try meanwhile to give practical input and real experiences based on our work, the work we are doing here at local level. Of course, when we are talking about partnerships and networking, it's really relevant to map your community to understand who are the actors that are involved in the field, especially the youth organizations and the NGO, first of all. It's really suggested to create common spaces for debates to understand the ambitions and the perspective of all of them in order to set up a strategy shared and agreed by all of them. It's not the only step necessary to have an effective impact in the community. It's really relevant to introduce the concept of cross-sectoral cooperation. Cross-sectoral cooperation is about creating bridges and connections with different actors involved in the field, like representatives of the public institutions, schools, representative of the entrepreneurial sectors, of course, a representative of the NGO field, some different actors of the community which are involved in the field. Why it is relevant? It is relevant, first of all, to take in consideration the different perspectives of all of them. The same problem could be seen by different angles according to the ambitions of the different actors. So it's really relevant when doing an analysis of the needs of the youngsters. The second benefit could be that all the voices and the ideas and the knowledge of all of these actors could be shared. And also the scope of the existing good practices already implemented by some of them will be shared with the others in the community. Maybe there is a problem faced by an organization in terms of their capacity to involve youngsters, which have been already solved somehow by some other. So in this sense, there could be a sort of capacity building for the less experienced organization, which could take advantage of the cooperation with the more experienced one. Of course, setting common strategies and implementing activities all together in the community will have a more relevant impact. There was a say that I really liked when I was living abroad in Kenya, and they were saying, together we stand, alone we fall. And it's really the meaning of cooperating together to achieve the same aim. I strongly believe it's a true say. So a more relevant impact, both through the activities realized by the partnership and also, of course, with the consequence of the improvement of the youth policies issued by your regional government. The impact that a partnership or a strong local network could have in terms of advocacy and lobbying, trying to stimulating the issue of new policies. Of course, it's completely different if it's given by a single entity or it's given by a set of the diverse actors which are putting together their ideas, and they're also representing a huge number of people. The recommendation that will stem from the detected issues and the shared strategies of your local network will be seen and considered more makers, of course, as I was saying. And also the network could be seen as a reference point when the local government is addressing some needs of the youngsters and when they are willing to implement a new youth policies. It's also relevant to understand that putting together the effort of many organizations could give an impact in terms of visibility of the action itself and also of the impact achieved. So the voice of each single organization is amplified in the community life, and this will bring, of course, more fruitful results in terms of raising awareness of the local population. It's highly recommended, not only because it's requested by the program that are financing our action, but it's also because it has a really relevant impact to disseminate the actions that we are implementing, the results achieved, and also because the main aim of course of the organization is to reach the final beneficiaries, not only to sensitize and to raise the awareness of the local population. It's really important in terms of dissemination to customize your communication when you would like to reach different stakeholders and to use the right channels to involve them. Here in Sardinia, regarding this concept, we can count on an online newspaper which is specifically addressed to the promotion of the youth policies and also to promote the opportunities given to youngsters in terms of volunteering activities and participating in the society. I would like to introduce a friend and a colleague of mine, Gabriele Frongia, and maybe he could say something more about this online newspaper, what is about and what is the main aim. In the meanwhile, I can share also the official website of the newspaper, if the link is working. Please, Gabriele.
Here we go. Thank you for having me. I'm Gabriele. I'm the editor of Gabriele Frongia of the Sardinia Goal, the website that you are seeing on display. Briefly, local magazine in the last 3 years get acquainted a lot of input from local organization involving the youth policy, and the main aim of our newspaper is filling the gap of the news regarding the youth policies that in our local community, but maybe also in yours, is not very well covered by local newspapers and magazines as well. Mainly, we just collecting daily information from youth organization, stakeholders involved in the youth sector. And what is more, we also try to lobby because we also work with our local government. We also lobbied and try to convince, to give hints to our local representative to draft a better law proposal in the sector of in the youth sector. Unfortunately, as you can imagine, local representatives are not so keen about these issues, but we are here just to underline the importance of make better policies for youth. We also support with our activities local organization to promote their organization, because I think that is critical to underline the activities and the effort that each volunteer are to say giving to create a better local community for our youth, and also is also a very helpful and fruitful for us, because this kind of network news are not very well developed online, and because of it is an amazing opportunity for us to boost also our business as magazine. What can I add? We just start in 2010 in our editor staff is composed mainly by youth. In this last 12 years, we are one of the best practice in Italy. That is that has been also recognized by our local our Minister of Youth Policy, and we also work with. We are also accredited by the main with the main institution within the European Union. Also, the Pentagon. I don't know why, but they are sending us their press release. Really interesting, because I don't know if there is any question, or also if Davide would like to share our contacts. I might be more than delighted to also give the stage of about your activities, because I would like also to point out that in our magazine there is a section focused addressed for international youth organizations, so it might be also useful for your press release as well. If there isn't any question, I can leave. Okay. See you in a bit. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much, Gabriele. As Gabriele was saying, it's really relevant to have a press office. Sardinia Goal is really a best practice, since there are not many newspapers in Italy specifically addressed to the youth policies and the youth opportunities. And it's also giving a great visibility to our local network, which is composed by several youth organizations. Gabriele is also president and legal representative on one youth NGO, which is part of the local regional committee we are gonna see in a while. So talking about visibility, sorry, a second. An increased visibility, of course, leads to a better recognition of the work done. So the network itself will be benefit from the visibility, since it will be seen by the people in charge to to develop new policy, decision maker and policy maker. It will be seen like a reference point to have discussion and debates with, in order to really develop new policies, more participated, both by the youth organization, but the youth organization are like creating a bridge between the policymakers and the youngsters. They are really the connecting point between these two groups. The chances also to reach new potential members of the network will increase if your visibility is effective. So one of the aim of an effective local network is to involve as many entities as possible in order to reach more youngsters possible in the community. And of course, if your visibility and promotion and dissemination of activities and results is done properly in an effective way, you will be able to make the youngsters aware of the organization that are in the territory, but not only, because through those organizations, they will be able to have a more active participation in the community, maybe taking part in volunteering activities, both locally and internationally. It's not going to the next slide. Wait, I will try to stop the sharing of the screen for a while. Voi vedete lo schermo? Okay, I think now it's working. So as I was saying before, TDM 2000 as one of its core aim and elements characterizing the organization, the will to involve many actors to set up strategies agreed and shared. The work done in the field in the past 20 years lead to the creation of a regional committee that it's currently composed of 16 NGOs. All of them are working in the youth field, and they are promoting mobility activities and opportunities, growth opportunities for youngsters in the community to participate in programs and actions mostly promoted by Erasmus+. The committee was born in 2017, and TDM 2000 had an essential role in terms of the promotion of this committee and putting together all these realities. The committee, it's not just composed by youth organization, but it's cooperating and collaborating also with the representative of the municipality of Cagliari, which is the city where our organization is based. There are also universities involved, primary and secondary schools, and also representative of the business sector. Why the committee CASMI is important? The main role of this organization is to be really the reference point for the regional government when they have to issue a new youth policy. They are really taking in consideration our voice. They are consulting us to really understand the needs both of the entities involved, and the needs of the youngsters, which are the final beneficiaries of all the actions implemented by those organizations. I would like now to introduce a colleague of mine, Luca. Luca is the president and the legal representative of TDM 2000. He has more than 20 years of experience in the field. He is the president not only of the organization, but is also the person representing our regional committee when it's called to be the reference point and where there are discussions and debate with the regional government. Luca, I would like to ask you if you can say something about your personal experience in the Constitution of CASMI, and maybe at the same time, if you can provide to the people attending this webinar some practical inputs in order to follow our best practice and maybe to have the same positive effect in their community.
Thank you, Davide. Okay. Thank you, Davide, for the introduction and also for the interesting speech that was connected to your presentation. My name is Luca. As you present, I'm the president of TDM 2000, an organization that born 20 years ago with the idea to support young people in this transition between the school and the labor market. Since the time where the Europe was a little bit different, the society was a little bit different, we were asking ourselves what we can do to develop in terms of skills, what we can do to support young people that have lack of skills, but also lack of personal elements in a society that is living in an island and not so much open to share content with people from the rest of Europe. So we were investigate what we can do as a young people to support them. We have been through a lot of different activities that partially was mentioning that reflect the concept of partnership and networks with young people. We have been in this different level of participation itself. The first level, as probably many of the people in this chat already explored, are the partnership with other young people, with other organizations that are in Europe or also at the local level, where you do exchange several content and you talk about the needs of the young people, try to find out good practice, tips, way of empowering ourselves and develop as humans, as active citizens. That's absolutely very important at the very grassroots level, and it was the first part of our experience. But we also notice something that is a little bit frustrating for all the youth workers, for all those that are in this pool for a little bit of a time, more than a few activities. You notice that a lot of effort it has been made, but the effect then goes a little bit away, they fade away soon as the meeting finish. When you do an exchange, you collect a lot of interesting contacts, you feel motivated to go on, but in the end, you start to think already to the next activity. And some of the effects were a little bit lost in a while. So we're figuring out, together with also other organizations in the regional territory, what we can do in order to transform those pilot activities in policy. And we have been also reflecting on the fact that our policymakers are on a daily basis discuss about the future of its own citizen. And then we start to figure it out as well, what we can do for young people that we also cannot get in touch with because they live in another town or they live in another part of the island, and what we can do to inform them about those incredible opportunities, how we can involve them in our research, how we can contaminate them with this interesting philosophy and values of participate actively sharing the value of inclusion, of the solidarity, what we can do, in which way we can cooperate. So we start to have little interview in the regional government, and what we learn is that we actually were talking different languages for them. So on a side, we were very motivated with a lot of ideas, but on the other side, we did not understand in which way we should relate to a policymaker. What this means, it means that it's very easy for a young people to be tokenized or to be manipulated by a policymaker in case you don't know the law, in case you don't know your rights, in case you don't study the documents and the strategies that the policymaker itself are creating for young people. So we start to have a different approach. We start to prepare ourselves better. We start to run courses about lobbying, advocacy, about leadership. We start to read a little bit more those financial documents and to understand that there were already existing national and regional strategies that want to empower young people. So our little step more was to let them get aware about the fact that despite this national and regional strategy, there is also an European one. So we were sharing with them what was our finding until that moment, and we share with them also the results of many research we did, that when people participate in mobility program, when people participate in voluntary service abroad, when people encounter different culture, they, the majority of them has a positive values on. And these positive values we need to recognize and promote it as much as possible. And the regional government opened a public and official interview towards us and says, can you please tell us all of that? And so we present a little bit of a documents. And then they told us, that's very good. So considering the fact that it's not just the will of one entity, not it's just the will of a little group of people, but it's something that is already involved in many different organizations, the ones that my colleague was telling you about the CASMI, that means that you have a group of people, that means you have already tested many practices on the territory. And in this sense, we want to try what you are telling to us. So they dedicate a little bit of those resources to co-finance the project that we're already organizing. And that give us a different steps in this concept of partnership for young people, not anymore just about young people itself, but about young people and policymakers. And this, in fact, was the beginning of a very successful cooperation. That was the way that we clearly manage in this territory to have more activity. And it helped also Sardinia in general in the context of Italian territory, even if habitated by a very little minorities of people. We have 1.5 millions of people. We actually managed to have a lot of activity for young people that are all of them very supported. I would like just to share for a second a few, just to show you a little bit what we have been talking about so far. Okay, here it is. So this is actually the documents, the financial law of the regional government of Sardinia. As you see, there are 16,000 pages. Usually we talk with other young people and we a little bit have fun. The concept is if you want to be to manage your objective, then you need also to know the best way on how you can present them. We have been through reading many documents, not obviously all of them, but a couple of thousands, because we really would like to understand in which cluster we can find the resources to manage that our idea and our dreams come true. This instead is the specific law. As you see, there is a specific regional law that now is envied by many different countries in Europe. A lot of our colleagues from other regional department ask us, can you share it with us? And we are always very keen to do that. It's written all in Italian, but the interesting thing is that all that you see here considered, so considered, recognized, all of them comes by a lot of research we present and a lot of work that we have been done. And as you see here, there is an amount of money that it's pretty much important that enable us every year to be very reliable and very grounded to keep on doing activities at the regional level. This is just a little example that we have been done. We have been organizing festival to promote our activity. We have been realizing a website where young people can in fact tell to the society what they are doing, because the interesting aspect here is also to remember that if we want to get public money, we also need to give to the community something. And that means open those opportunities to as many people as possible, publishing, promoting them in all channels possible. And before, you also heard the story of Sardinia Goal that give us a lot of possibility to talk about a youth and youth problem, things that before was not really that much possible. And then, of course, we had realized this cluster of NGOs in CASMI, and very soon, is actually from 10 days from now, we will invite in the countryside, in one of the most beautiful area of Sardinia, a lot of different local policymakers, those that are actually leading little communities of 800, 1,000 people. We will invite them in a seminar to explain to them all the opportunities that we can do for the young people, because we really want to keep on going with this support, private and public, because we cannot simply reach all the community. I don't believe that many NGOs have the control of the territory as well, but this could be one of the options. So in terms of tips, for example, this is what we are running as well. So those were just a little bit of the things that I think were very relevant. First thing is obviously to have passion. Second thing is to have competence and knowledge about how the rules of the games work. To be ready to make a group of people, because in this way we can also be decision makers, and to be ready to represent our own point of view towards those that are preparing law. And of course, the next is to keep on going by keep on publishing, promoting, and informing the territory, because they really do need it. Before giving the floor back to my colleague, still today, after a lot of job, we still hear young people when we send them to project that say, oh, we are so lucky because we get this information and we now can participate. And we also still hear people that says, oh, wow, I'm so happy I participate because it really changed my life. And this opportunity really motivate myself to keep on studying, to keep improving. And I really want to do now something more for my territory. We're still hearing people that are saying, oh, now finally I understand things in English. Before I thought just with Italians, I can go everywhere. And all of that is actually the results of a massive work that is on a daily basis, with the support of the little channels I was telling you before. Without that, I think the youth work will be too much localized on own member of the organization, you, myself, and I, brothers and sisters. So I think youth work needs something more, and this is what we would like the promoting active participation. It is the strategy of the European Union, and I think the strategy of each of us.
Thank you very much, Luca, for your precious contribution and for sharing your experience. Let's keep following with the presentation. Can you see the screen? No? Still. Wait a second with the presentation. Yes, si blocca. Okay, here it is. As Luca already anticipated me, thanks to the work done by TDM 2000 and CASMI, regional law was approved in Sardinia. Sardinia is one of the few regions in Italy with a specific law providing economical contribution to local youth organization for the activities done for the youngsters to increase their capacities and to provide them opportunities to go abroad for educational activities. So as Lucas was mentioning, every year there is a specific amount allocated for the organizations that are carrying out international youth mobility projects and that are promoting youth exchanges, facilitating the acquisition of new competencies for the most disadvantaged youngsters in the community. You have also to consider that we are coming from an island, so the opportunity to visit new places and new cultures are less compared to the other youngsters living in the rest of the country. So somehow we can consider the youngsters living in Sardinia as people facing geographical obstacles. Let's go to the next one. If te la passo. Let's wait to solve this technical issue with the PowerPoint.
Okay. Meantime, we received this question from one of the participants. We are absolutely very open for cooperation and for sharing our finding. So by chance you would like to mail us, you can do it in this address. I'm sharing with you in the chat. And in this sense, I would be very happy to have a private call or any possibility for exchanging also the way we build the law itself. Obviously, every country has its own way of dealing with, but let's say we can already suggest some good practice that can be taken into the consideration while talking with decision makers.
So one of the main activities, now the PowerPoint, I guess it's working, let's see. One of the main activities developed by the local committee CASMI is also the creation of spaces for facilitating the connection between the different actors of the society and basically creating networking spaces. One of the most important events at the regional level in this sense is promoted by CASMI, which is the committee I'm talking about, and it's realized once per year. Usually the event lasts 2 days, and there are several activities implemented during these times. There are many actors participating in the events. There are representatives of the regional government and public institutions. There are representatives of schools, universities, many youngsters attending the event. And we are trying in this way to create roundtables, debates, and activities, also workshop to facilitate the debate among all the actors, and also creating a sort of bridge and connection between the youngsters and the decision maker. Actually, we are gonna implement in a couple of weeks one of this kind of events, trying to realize several workshops and putting together youngsters and policymakers. Some of the examples, then this PowerPoint will be shared at the end of the webinar. You can find also some references in it to see the project official website, where you can find also the other webinars if you don't have attended them. But as I was saying, some of the activities implemented during this event we are doing every year are open space debates run by an expert on different topics. There is an international NGO fair with many entities, and this is a space where all the representatives can share their will, their ambitions. They can create a new partnership in order to realize activities not only at local level, but also at international level. I think it's a very relevant moment when people can really discuss on their will and about the activities they would like to implement, and to set a real common strategy. This is something we have already discussed about. It's the regional law we were discussing previously. Luca also was mentioning about how it was created. And this law, basically, as I was saying before, has the purpose to carry out international youth mobility projects and promoting intercultural and European citizenship. Now, it's before to this, like, come to the previous one, please, Luca. I would like also to introduce another aspect, because we were basically mostly focused on the local partnership created by TDM 2000, but there is another very relevant element of this organization. Since its beginning, TDM 2000 tried to create synergies also with other stakeholders and actors and NGOs, youth organization based in all the countries in Europe. So in 2008, an international network was created. Now the international network is counting more than 25 organizations based in more than 26 countries. The international network is called TDM 2000 International. So TDM was one of the most important found members, let's say so, but then many other realities joined this network. And now also at European level, TDM could count with an institution which is taken as a reference point, the same as TDM is taken at regional level. TDM 2000 International is taken as a reference point when there are roundtables, debates, and conferences with the European Commission, which is studying new strategies, new programs, new opportunities for youngsters. So I would like now to introduce the president of TDM 2000 International, and to understand from her what are the benefits according to her perception for the youngsters, what are the opportunities given both to the youth organization taking part in the network and to the youngsters of the community where those organizations are working. Angelica Perra, president and legal representative of TDM 2000 International. Angelica as well has a wide experience in this field. Angelica, please, the floor is yours.
Very nice presentation. After all this
nice microphone is not working.
Mine? Now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So after all these nice words, your expectations for sure are very high on what I'm going to tell you. I will not take a lot of time. I would like to share the screen a little bit if it's possible. Otherwise, I will just talk. to present what the network does for our members and what we give to our members in order that they're able afterwards to facilitate the involvement of youngsters in the life of the local community, and in this way also to facilitate their social inclusion. Davide, se mi dai l'accesso posso condividere lo schermo, se no parlo comunque. Okay, I will only talk. I don't have superpowers at the moment. Okay, so now I have superpowers.
Try. You have super.
Yes, and I also see the screen with the results of the test. Nice. Okay, so very quickly, I prepared just a short introduction. TDI International, as Davide was saying, was born in 2008 and was born because of the strong will from TDN 2000, actually, that is the organization that we were talking about until now. And this strong will was given by the fact that we were all very motivated young people at the time that wanted to do something to help other youngsters from other countries around Europe, first of all. During the activities that we were doing as members of TDN 2000, we met a lot of youngsters that then became our friends first, and then they expressed the will to create their own associations, their own organizations. They wanted to work with other young people in their countries. They wanted to involve them in doing activities. They wanted to empower them. So we decided in 2008, finally, we decided to create this network in order to empower, to build capacity on other organizations like TDM 2000, and at the same time providing these organizations with tools, knowledge, skills to help and support the development of the young people they were working with. Indeed, this is our main aim. And so how do we work in this sense? We help our member organizations in building their financial capacity, and these are only some examples: how to apply for a grant, how to build stable relations with donors, how to create a budget, how to do a financial report. And also we support them on building their organizational capacity. Just some examples: how to plan and implement an event, how to write a report, how to manage volunteers and human resources in general. Why? Because without these capacities, you cannot realize all the elements that Luca was mentioning before. If we build an organization that doesn't have a good organizational capacity, is not able to create an event, to organize it properly, to build the links at local level with local stakeholders, with policymakers, with companies, putting together all the elements of the society, we are not gonna reach the goals of the organization. And our work with youngsters will not be so much effective. So also it's important that we, in order to stimulate young people to take part to the development of the local community, we need to motivate them, and we can motivate them if we have something to offer to these young people, and to when we ask them, when we propose them to be more active and to do things to participate to the social development of the society, of the community where they're living, we have to have tools and means in order to motivate them. And in this sense, members of TDM International, thanks to the capacities that we share with them And actually in this group that is taking part to the project Be Inclusive, not only TDM 2000 is member of TDM International, but also Global Citizens Academy. The coordinator is also member of the network. So we all know how relevant it is, the work that we do all together. And all members from their side, they transfer at the same time tools and knowledge to the young people they work with. Why? To help them developing these personal competencies that, as you know, nowadays are required at any level. So we have, in this sense, organizations from, you can see that from the screen, that are working on entrepreneurial education. We have organizations that are working on charity. They do hands-on with people with disabilities. And inside these bubbles, we have many other let's say bubbles, many other fields of work of all the members of the organization, of the network. We believe that only if we succeed in involving young people in taking part actively to the life of the local community where they live, in organizing activities, events, and see the results of these events, only at that moment we can really help them to be part of the society, to feel part of it, and to feel included in all the activities that we do as organizations. Last thing that I wanted to add is that thanks to that experience with CASMI and with the activities that we are doing at local level with TDN 2000, we are bringing these good practices also at international level in order to share and help other organizations to do the same that TDM 2000 did in Sardinia. This we are doing at the moment with the project that is called Connect, that is financed by the European Commission directly. It's one very big project where both TDM 2000 and Global Citizens are partners. We are developing a series of schemes and tools, competencies to help young people and policymakers creating activities together for better development of the communities where they are working. So we are all in line with the topics of being inclusive, and I believe that this is relevant work. If we have questions, we can answer.
Thank you, Angelica. Yeah, this is time. We are a bit late, but of course, we will provide you the opportunity to do some questions. And if you have some curiosities, we are here and we are trying to make something more clear if you have doubts or something you would like to know.
I think that Luca already answered before to this question about collaboration together. Maybe some of you missed the answer of Luca. I can type again on the chat or the email address. If you want, we can get in touch through this email address and see what are your needs. We are open to collaborate with everyone, both as a network, both as TDN 2000. And I believe all the partners also of this project are open for cooperation. There are different activities that could be organized at international level, and also the possibility that you could replicate it in your country. But we need to explore better where you are from to see which are these possibilities, and also what your organization is doing if you already have an organization. Otherwise, the first point is to start creating an organization.